2 events, 2 days per week. Normal trials, vet trials. There is. And then, because I don't do trials, I need to figure this out, though. I need to... Bushka has it, he always has it posted on Band. But we need to get you to post it in the message of the day in a way that you think is simplified and clean. The zone clears are always at 7 on Wednesdays. Right, Elite? Is that correct? 7:30 on Wednesday, so that's 3 consistent events. Yes, Eastern. I'm sorry, I meant Central. Yes, that's everything. So on band, it's going to display to someone's local time zone. But we plan things. We have been for my time zone from Central. Um, and so that's 3 events that are consistent already. There's a 4th event. The auctions are 7 o'clock on Mondays. That is merchants. That's right. We've invited some of the adventurers, and then so that's back down to 3, and then what else was there? There's one thing that I'm forgetting. I know there's 4. There's 2 trial events. There's the zone clears, and there's one. Let me look on the Let me look on ban. What time are we doing that on Mondays? Okay. And did we say that Monday was the only day you could do that, or no? And you're in what time zone again? I'm sorry. You're in Pacific. Okay, so that's latest it can be is 7 Central, 8 Eastern. Okay, let's do it. Let's let's decide right now on a day that is. I'm looking right now to make sure we don't do it on the same day. That's not normal trials. Okay. That's gone. That's going to be just Sundays. That's gone. This was a 1 week thing. That it was on Fridays. It was a special request. Sundays at 12:30 Central Time is veteran trials. Tuesday at 7:30 is normal trials. Wednesday at 7:30 is zone clears. Let's do since the Undaunted. Yeah. Um. Since the Undaunted is not really going. It's not going as well as I would have hoped. Let's do and we got fishing on Sundays. Let's see. Crafting Housing Club. Let's move the Crafting Housing Club to 5 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Central on Thursdays. I'm gonna change that right now. I'm gonna delete it from Mondays. That way it doesn't um because it's usually me or Embers um, doing the auctions, and this way we can attend both events, both of us, and we don't have to rush to get one over to get to the other. So I'm gonna delete all occurrences of the Crafters Housing Club on Mondays, and I'm gonna rename the Undaunted to Crafters Housing Club on Thursdays. Let's see. So that's 4 consistent events that are at the same time like the same day of the week, same time. I think it went okay today. Embers, did you lead that earlier today? We What time his time did he start it? Yeah, okay. It wasn't supposed to start until 3:30. His hour it's Central and 12:30 Pacific, if I'm thinking right. Okay. Okay, if it was 2 p.m. Eastern, it would have been 1 Central. It would have been 11. I said 3 hours. I meant it would have been 11 Pacific. And so I think that's an hour and a half early. I think it was supposed to be 12:30 Pacific. I have to talk to him about that. That's a whole hour and a half ahead. No, just crafting and housing. We're removing undaunted dailies as a formal event. Unless we get like at least 5 tanks and or healers that'll say, okay, I'll lead groups because a DPS leading a group. Yeah, it sounds like a cool idea, but who's gonna? Yes, we said Monday, right? But at the same time, I was just saying that's the same time as the same day as the auction, and Embers and I are usually the only ones that lead the auctions. That way we don't have to rush, and we don't. If I'd ask you if it was okay, you said you could do any day. Did I hear you wrong? Okay. So are you 7? He said he could do it 5 on Thursdays. He said he could do it 5 Pacific at latest. So 7 Central. Do you have the staff for that yet? Where you wanna wait for that? Saturday evenings at, let's see, let's do 8 Central. That'll give people. I feel like any earlier than that, Pacific Coast people might not be home yet, and we have Bushka at least. But it sounds like he started an hour and a half early today when he should have, I think, 30 minutes early is at the most. Like, dude, I spam that thing all the time. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm gonna be changing one character each day at the same time, just so it gets sent out again at the peak time. People get a notification when the most members are online. I'm just gonna literally change one letter and send it out again every single day. Sorry, go ahead. Don't list Fridays or Saturdays yet. I mean, we don't have the manpower to do it yet, so, or woman power. Say the last two again, sorry. Yes. We'll keep, let's see, the officers meeting, I'm going to ask everybody in that group if they can make it. And, I mean, I don't think it's going to be changing from that. But hopefully, unless, like, everybody. There is. I'm about to drop out of party, invite the Rift, and then invite as many people as we can. And this sucks because this is a intro to trading, and we don't have a trader. But it'll still hopefully teach some people stuff. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna invite everybody that's in here to a group, and I'm gonna invite the Rift to a group. We'll just see how many people we get. Hey, what's up, man? Hey, the Rift, are you there? Hello? Am I? What chat am I in? Is the Rift? I guess, let's see. Let me do group chat. Let's see.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, brother, how are you?
Good. Sorry about that. When I traveled, it switched me back to the previous chat channel. I just assumed it was in group.
Oh, it's all
I'm talking to
good, brother.
myself.
How's your weekend been?
Very calm and peaceful, which is always positive.
That's great.
I live in Florida, and the weather's still nice and warm, which is wonderful.
Yeah, that's depending on what part you live in, your nice and warm might be my blistering hot, but as long as you enjoy it.
Well, my preferred temperature is 90, so
Oh
it's
wow,
probably blistering hot to everybody. I
you
spent a
are
lot
a
of time.
true
Spent a lot of time
southerner.
in and around the water. Oh yeah, lived in the South
Yeah,
now. 30 years? About that. No, longer. 35 years.
wow. That's I like about 68, but then again, I think I'm Irish.
Oh, my background's Irish, but you'll sweat it out if you live down here long enough.
All right, we had some people that sound like they had some interest. Let's see if they still retain
Okay.
that interest. Let's see. I'm gonna travel to my house. Unfortunately, we lost our trader and merchant. I think we lost to a ghost guild. This guild had bid a very substantial amount for only having barely over 200 items for sale.
Which spot? You were going for
And
Sentinel, correct?
yes, we lost to Apocalyptic Champions. I'm going to be watching to see if it's a different guild tomorrow morning. Or it could just be a guild that had a lot saved up and they wanted to see if they could get more members, but they can't really sustain at that current. I can't imagine how you'd sustain at that current level of items. Be able to pay. We're very close to 7 figures in our bid, but not
And
quite.
this location outbid that? Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? That just feels like a ghost trader to me. I'm sure you're aware of that concept if you've been in
Oh
high-end.
yes.
Let's see.
They have a precise Necropotence Inferno staff for 40k. That's. I don't know. I'm looking to see if I recognize any of these people. I bet you the Guildmaster is Apocalypto Joe.
Oh, is
Only
that?
because it's Apocalypse.
Oh yeah.
My
But
worst child.
that'd be surprising to me if it wasn't a ghost. I mean, it could be. I don't want to just throw that out and say well, we didn't get unlucky because we could have just got unlucky. But after I learned,
I've been seeing it more over the past few months.
what's that? The ghost guilds? Oh man, it kicked me out too. No, what? Hello? No, of course.
now, and then I'll travel.
There we go. Okay. Alright, unglitch. Let's see. Oh, is that a new thing where it gives somebody else a crown if you log out? I guess so. It's not
Yes.
new.
There's a PvP, a Daggerfall-based PvP guild that I run with once in a while when I'm doing it, and when the crown has to bow out, they let fate decide.
Yeah.
See who gets it.
All of a sudden people are hollering and going, hey, aren't you leading us? What? Oh, I didn't know I got crown. Dang it.
Yeah, there's another group that I'll run with one time. We have Pass the Hat. If you got to keep your eye on your group bar if you don't want the crown, because you'll not paying attention, you'll suddenly have it.
Yeah.
Hey, Four Eyes, do you mind me telling anybody that wants to invite to this class to whisper you, or do you want to pass me crown back? Either one's fine with me.
Oh, I have lead? I didn't even know.
See?
Surprise!
Hot potato.
I'll pass it back to you.
You've been promoted. Are we meeting at Grand Lynch Hall?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is yours, sir.
Thank you.
I'm still trying to mess with my skill line. So, I don't know what's going on.
Hey, is this gonna be YouTubed like the last one?
What?
That's up to the Rift if he's comfortable with that.
That doesn't bother me at all.
Still think I have my privacy settings correct.
Stick with me, kid. I'll make you famous.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Weinstein.
Yeah, right. My gosh.
Glad somebody
Your
got
hotel
that.
room.
So, what alliance do you PvP on?
Daggerfall.
Oh.
The Covenant.
And here I was starting to like you.
It's when my roommate and I, when we got this game, and when we've been Elder Scrolls series fans for a long time. He started with Morrowind. I started with Oblivion. You know, this is the natural. You know, this is the next title after Skyrim came out. Neither of us were interested in the PvP at all, and I just didn't really. I only got into it about a year ago, and it's been off and on. And I just so happened to run into some good, you know, a teach like much like this guild, a social and teaching guild. And there, you know, I figured I don't know anything about it. I should group up with people who are experts. 'Cause that's how you learn.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and there's a lot of good friends there. But I you know what? It's funny. I have people that I have met on the battlefield. A lot of them in Almeri Dominion that I run trials with. So I'm not partisan like some like.
Oh,
like
me
some
neither. Yeah. It's. I mean, I created. I probably should have created a blue and a red. I have 14 characters, and
Yeah, Dave's not partisan at all.
At all. At all.
At all.
but you know, you'll never see me in PvP like describing somebody, attributing a characteristic, a generalized characteristic, to a faction. I'm not going to say, well, they're just Zergan because they're blue, or they're red, or, well, that guy's just an idiot because people, according to natural selection, idiots choose blue or red naturally. Like, I don't know.
It's funny. I mean, you know, from time to time I'll get really partisan and, you know, kill those so and so, you know, whatever color is being annoying at the, you know, being successful at the time. Let's be real.
Yeah,
and
I'm not
that's-
saying the
I know,
type to mean it.
No, and I realized, you know, I need to take a break because it's just getting too serious. Do something else for a while. But no, I made some good friends. After, you know, hard fought battles with them. In fact, some of the AD players I admire the most. We had it was 3 or 4 months ago, but it was about 15 of us Angry Mooners, 20 of us maybe. And there's 7 of these AD defending Alessia, and the fight went on for 40 minutes. And these 7 AD, not only were they holding us off, but there was some Reds on the other side of the keep sieging. They held them off. We were inside the inner keep twice on the back flag, and they threw us out. They're phenomenal play. Well, it's a team. You know, it's 7 players that play together a lot, and it was a phenomenal defense. So, some of my teammates were bitching, pissing, and moaning, but you know, I sent a message off to them saying that it was great because we had a lot of fun thanks to them. So, I don't know. I have a different look on it.
Yeah.
But I will admit, from time to time, I get a little hostile, and then that's when it's time to like leave Cyrodiil and do something different because it's silly. But
Hey, Ember,
that's
can you
just
see
my
where my
opinion.
arrows land?
They changed
I
that.
sent a message. Hang on.
We can't see other people's animations anymore. They change it to reduce lag.
Ah. Well, not sure how I'll point this out to then.
What channel?
What are you doing? Oh,
Come over here. Okay.
well, I can see that you're shooting your bow.
Yeah, the one I have is to the left of the colloquial man. Your
Yeah, that's
Collovian
the
man
Breton.
is-
That's the Breton male.
That's Breton. Okay.
Yep.
Which one's Imperial?
This one in, yeah, above, okay, the orc is the very bottom left, and so the
Yeah.
one diagonal to the right, with the mustache and like the goatee look, and
That's the
he looks like
Imperial.
he's more scarred up. That's the
Yeah.
Imperial.
What's the one up and to the left of that?
That's the Breton female.
I still need the 3 you have on the left.
Yeah, Rift
So you need
Cleaning.
this, well, the Imperial male then.
Yeah, I need it.
Hey, Barry.
Okay. Well, come here.
We'll still talk
Hey,
about that
Barry.
recruiting thing, why that's not working. Rift, the only thing I can think about with regards to maybe a guild, if it's not a ghost guild that's trying really hard to get a trader there this week, is because the Witch Mother's, well, now it's the Witches,
yeah.
not the Witch Mother. The Witches Festival
Witches
starts
Fest. Friday,
and people love dolmens, and they love grinding dolmens, and in that
Don't
zone.
even talk to me
Speak for
about
yourself.
diamonds. That place has crashed my game too many goddamn times to even motherfucking count.
Wow, you sound pretty angry about it. You should,
Trust me, I was grinding there to get CP for at least the starting CP there for around a week straight. Not fun.
You may be right, Dave. I mean, I mean, just from judging, I saw maybe about 7 sellers just kind of quickly scrolling through their menu. The pricing was kind of all over the place. Not that that's wrong, but it suggests that they are not in a spot, you know, regularly, which should be, say, 3 weeks out of 4.
Yeah.
So they may have just scraped together a bunch of money, saved it, and said, we really got to get a trader for Witches Festival because we'll have a bunch of good stuff to sell. Entirely possible.
As for the bloody trading shit in this game, I'm fucking telling you about that bullcrap.
What?
You will see it. I'd be
It
surprised if...
took me a week to earn 4,000 fucking gold, and that's basically just gone because I got hunted.
You got to learn how to acquire certain items. It should not take that long once you learn to acquire the right types of items. But that's why
Well,
we're
considering
here.
this is my first character in this game, I don't have ESO Plus, it's a little bit harder for me.
What
a lot
level
of
are you?
inventory management.
I'm an Ogonian Dragon Knight that's basically split under 3 different trees. I'm part DPS, part tank, and also part crafter at the exact same
What
time.
level? What level are you?
CP 100.
Okay. Do you have any? Is your provisioning at 50?
No.
Okay. My suggestion is get your get your provisioning to 50 as fast as you can, and then start selling some food. That's the very
So
quickly
far,
you-
that's actually my weakest one, actually. The lowest one I've got out of everything. My highest is actually blacksmithing at the moment.
That's a good one to have leveled up.
Yeah,
Blacksmithing's at level 33 at the moment. Prove is only level 4. It's hard for me without ESO Plus for the Probe because my inventory just gets so filled up with bloody materials and shit, I can't really do anything until maybe tomorrow if I get ESO Plus for
I didn't,
1 month.
I played for 6 months before I got ESO Plus, and I was able to make a decent amount of money. You just have to do a lot of management, going back and forth to other characters and dumping all the stuff you want to hold on to, like characters you don't play.
Well, I've only got really 1 character. I've got 2 others in the working, but I'm not going to be touching those until I hit CP 160.
Can I make a
What
suggestion
you do
for
is
those
you
other
just
characters?
use the other characters as mules, because even without
Thanks,
spending any
Face.
money, they have 60 spaces on them, and you can relatively cheaply upgrade that on each of them by 10, you know, for a relatively low gold at pack merchants. I would suggest go ahead and do the research on several characters so that you know that the characters you're creating are viable and you're going to enjoy playing with them later, but go ahead and max out your character space, creating eight characters, and then that's 8 times 60 or 7 times 60 that you have.
How do you
as far
transfer
as-
items for different characters?
You put it in
your
the bank.
bank.
Well, let's go ahead and get started, everyone. Let's turn it over to the Rift. We're on his time. He's been grateful enough, and we're starting pretty late. So you have the floor, sir. Any format that you wish, it's up to you.
Oh, thank you. It's one of my. I'm happy to do it. It's one of my favorite topics. Just a little bit of background about me, just so you have some. Let me just say this. The way I'm going to run this is, typically I've done these kind of little seminars before. I typically go for about 10 minutes. Then I figure we've got about 10 minutes or so of some specific questions, and then maybe a little discussion, which is why I said roughly 30 minutes. We can go longer if we want. But what I'm not really going to do is tell you go get this and sell it for that. What I'd rather do is give you some of the benefit of some of the things I've learned, so that you can become an expert trader yourself, without having to rely on what should I get and what should I sell it for. So, starting from that, excuse me, swallowing some soda. Just a little background.
Goodfella.
Yep, Goodfella and Krista Vegas. Krista Vegas runs Back Alley and Earth Station. And just touching briefly on trading guilds, I mean, I would describe these as top-tier trading guilds. That's not a competitive or a bragging type of statement. What I mean by top-tier is that players have got a lot of money, have a lot of things to trade, will naturally gravitate towards the guilds that accumulate the largest bid each week. They want to be in what's considered the best spot in the game. And there's a lot to learn from those people. But you probably are aware that there's some trader locations in the game are better than others. It's pretty much driven by ease, but most of the trader locations in the game can be good. The secret is not as much as where the trader is located, but knowing how to make money at it. And I'm going to talk, like I said, I'm not going to talk so much about what to go get and what to sell it for, but how to think about using, when we have a public trader, how to use your assigned slots to make you some money without you going out of your way or going through some horrible grinding in order to fill your trader slots. Is everyone here familiar with a trader? Is anyone not familiar? Or if you wanted me to kind of just discuss a little bit how a guild trader works?
I've learned how to use a guild trader throughout a few of the other guilds I'm in. One of them sort of cut me some slack because it's around 5k each, but one guy sort of paid a month for me because he knew I was going away for vacation. I ended up putting in like 2 things in there and they ended up selling, but that was only around 2,000 gold.
So kind of like if you looked at what you spent on a trading fee versus what you were able to list or what you were able to gross, kind of like wasn't a big winner. It sounds like what you, if I'm reading you correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And that's common. The difficulty with trading in general is really figuring out what you should be selling and how much for. Even though I said I'm not going to tell you how to do that. So we're just going to take a step back, and a guild trader is basically, as you probably all know, is a public trader. Any player on PS4 North America can shop at a trader if we're able to hire it. Each week, Sunday night at 9 p.m., bids close, and it's a blind bid, which means the fevered guildmaster who's desperately trying to make this work has to purely guess, at how much gold to bid in order to win that spot. They're blind bids. Nobody knows what the winning numbers are. ZeniMax keeps that secret. All you will know is either you won or you lost. But if you win the bid, then for the next 7 days, that is our guild's public storefront. Now, when we have a public storefront, every member of the guild that has access to the guild trader, that's determined by the GM, everyone who has access has 30 slots where you can list items. And this gets into the secret, I think, or the heart, or where you should begin with making gold, is how much slots you have available. If you have, and I'll say, there's the 3 rules that I look at, fundamentally. Number 1, I divide anything you can sell in the game into 3 categories. Number 2, you have 30 slots. The more times you turn those slots over, the more transactions you're making, the more gold you're going to make. In most cases, look at it this way, if you have 30 slots and you put in 30 items and it takes a week to sell them, you've made 30 sales. However, if you can put into those 30 slots 30 items that will sell every day, you could potentially turn over 210 transactions during the week. So it gets into the third element of it is, it's not getting as much as you can for something in the guild trader, it's putting something there that someone will come by and snatch up so you can sell something else. And the more frequently you can do that, at almost any price point, you're going to accumulate money a heck of a lot faster than your contribution to support the trader bid and anything else you're doing. So the three things are, number 1, there's 3 categories of goods, and that's very important in deciding what you should spend your time getting. Number 2 is you've got 30 slots, turn them over as often as you can during the week. Doesn't matter how much that you've got big ticket items, it's just turn them over. And number 3, it's not as important to get as much as what the so-called market value of something might be. It's not as important as that. It's important for somebody to say, I'll buy it at that price. Then you can sell something else. So getting back to number 1, there's 3 categories of items in the game. If you think about everything that you can accumulate in your bank, anything you can give to another player, that's alchemy plants, that's gear that drops in overland content, that's motif books, that's potions and poisons that you craft, that's food and beverage that you craft, that's ingredients for food and beverage, that's and I'm leaving out another category. Oh, furnishings. Furniture that furniture plans or crafting writs if you're doing master crafting writs. These are things you can obtain that you can trade to other players. All of those goods will fall into 3 categories. The first category is what I call 1 per account. Any given player, no matter how many characters that player has, he or she may only need 1 of those items, and then they're done shopping for more. The next category, and we're going to talk about that the most. The second category is anything that a player needs 1 for his or her character. It could be a Necropotence lightning staff. If that player is only running 1 Mag Sork running Necropotence set, she's not going to need to get another one next week, another one next week, and another one next week. So it's really 1 per character. The third item, and what I consider the best category, is consumables. That's everything that's used up and destroyed in the game. That's potions and food that you drink and eat. That's elegant lining and tempering alloys that goes into the gear that you improve. That's anything that's consumed and essentially deleted out of the base of all the objects in the game. Now, going to number 1, when I say something is 1 per account, this is the great example of that dichotomy of trading, or the difficulty of trading. The obvious thing that everyone needs or wants are motif pages or motif books. We've got right now people are all over Vivek and Vardenfell pickpocketing left and right to get pages from the 3 Great House motif books, Telvanni, Lalu, and Rhetoric. They're all over the place. Now, here's the issue. Once I buy Rhetoric staves, my crafter learns it, I don't ever need another copy of Rhetoric staves ever again in the game. It's 1 per account. They'll need to buy it once. The same is true for all the motif pages. Most people in the game concentrate their crafting on a single character, or they have specialist characters. One might specialize in clothing, another one might specialize in provisioning. It's just how they have spent their skill points and leveled those up. But anything that's 1 per account in the game can potentially be and is big money when it first comes into the game. But it's also the item that rapidly depreciates in market value because it's new in the game. Everyone's who wants to make big money is going to go after it, hoping that they're going to sell that motif page for 150k or 100k. But after 3 or 4 weeks of that, since only one of those is needed per account, the remaining market diminishes rapidly, so you have a strong price decline. In my opinion, chasing motif pages for purpose of selling probably is the least effective way to go to making gold. And here's the reason why. You're going to spend a lot of time farming those. Whether you're trying to get Mazatun and Silken Ring out of 2 of the more difficult dungeons in the game, or you're running around Balmora picking pockets, or you're looking in urns and chests and furniture for the new recipes. Those are all relatively easy to obtain. Certainly pickpocketing is easy. The easier it is to obtain, the faster the market's going to get saturated. If you're investing your time and going after things that are 1 per account, you're actually probably in the long run going to make less gold because the market's going to close out. I'm going to skip over number 2, which is 1 per character. It's very much like 1 per account. There's a few item sets in the game or a few things that people want to equip their characters with that are red hot. I mentioned Necropotence. That set is still pretty popular. And it's going to take longer to saturate that market, but eventually every mag sork in the game who wants to run a pet build is going to have a Necropotence set. Either she got it herself, she got it from a guildmate, or she bought it. So going after those sets, you can make some money, but it's really short term. The last category, consumables, I mean, when you get right down to making gold and following just a couple of what I think are fundamental rules, consumables are destroyed. Every time somebody drinks a potion, they're going to be in the market for another one. Every time they eat food, they're going to be in the market for another one. If they craft furniture, every time they run out of bast to make cushions and carpets, they're going to be in the market for more. So if you look at, you have 30 slots in your trader, you want to maximize the number of transactions you're doing per week. That's more important than maximizing the individual dollar amount or gold amount that you sell an item. Consumables will get consumed constantly. You're going to constantly be replenished. You can turn those 30 trader slots over much faster than in the long run going after, say, those 1 per account items or those 1 per tune item characters. That doesn't mean I'm not recommending you don't go after them, but don't build your gold accumulating plan around constantly being able to sell another copy of Thieves Guild Shoulders, for example. Does that make sense so far?
Absolutely.
Kind of with me? Okay. When I first started the trading guilds, I didn't know anything. I asked some other guild people what to sell. And they answered my question exactly as I asked it. They said, oh, what, you want to know what to sell? Right now, Zivkin motif pages are really hot. Go in the sewers, get some key fragments, open those vaults, sell off your Zivkin motif pages. When Zivkin first hit the market with the launch of Imperial City, the cheapest one I sold went for 40,000 gold. 4 weeks later, they were well below 10,000 gold because so many players in the game did exactly what I was doing. They went after those motif pages. So if in the long run, if you're looking at gold, you got to look at things I recommend. You look at things like new motif pages, 1 per account items. They're great to spend some time on in say the first week that they come out in the game, but that's cream on the cake on top of what you're already doing. The same is true with the second category, the one per tune items. I mean, it's still worth time going after necropotent staves, but really, unless you're getting sharpened lightning, or whatever the ideal best in slot is this week, you're really not going to come up with things that are going to make you a lot of money relative to the time. However, alchemy plants, raw materials, and provisioning items are constantly being used by all the people who are crafting in the game, whether they're doing it for themselves or they're doing it as their own business. All of those ingredients, all of the raw materials or the crafting materials are all easy to obtain. The problem is a lot of people don't like to run around picking up flowers or looking in flower sacks. But part of the gold making scheme should include, as you're going by these nodes, harvesting the nodes, accumulating them, and selling off, and putting those in your trader. You're going to turn the slots over faster. Your price point for those items is not big. Let me think of an example, like like the most expensive provisioning ingredient. I'll sell greens. You got to find them in the baskets. There's a couple good spots to get them. But other than that, they're not hard. If you don't know where to look for them, they're kind of hard to find. I'll sell 50 of them for 4,000. Doesn't sound like a lot, but I have a stockpile right now of like 4,000 of them that I just have been accumulating and not using. I'll sell those greens. Those greens, 50 greens at 4,000, will turn over in a couple of days. Maybe 3 days at the most, but they all will sell. One person will come by and buy out 4 or 5 slots of that stuff. And the reason being, it's a provisioner who is making money making provisions and doesn't want to go out and farm it or doesn't have the time to go out and farm it.
Like me.
Yep, like any of us. And this gets to the heart of figuring out what to put in a trader. And that really is, if you think about your own personal game time, when you're playing the game, how much fun is it to go out grinding for the gear that you need for yourself? Imagine if your gold or if your money-making plan was built on selling Mazzotin motif pages. There's 14 pages in every book. That would mean running Mazzotin or Ruins of Mazzotin on vet, probably hard mode, like over and over and over and over again. And then putting those motif pages in the trader. It's one of the reasons why Silken Ring and Mazzotin are still relatively high compared to other pages. They're not easy to obtain. That's the exception to the rule. All the other motif pages are easy to obtain. So if you look at the heart of what you do to make gold, you got to think about how you like to play the game and probably how other people like to play the game. They don't really have a lot of time to go out and find this stuff themselves. Or if they do, they're not going to spend a lot of time doing it, or they're going to stop once they get what they need for their personal use. The secret is convenience. What's the most convenient thing to get? And this is like when I was talking earlier. Like the Mazzotin and Silken Ring motif pages are very inconvenient to get. Thus, the price on those is relatively high, and there's still somewhat of a market for them. On the other hand, the price for the Great House motif pages is now dipping below 15,000. Just a couple weeks ago, they were 30,000 plus. They're relatively easy to obtain. However, things like provisioning ingredients, alchemy plants, those tempering alloys, dwarven oils, those will continually turn over in the trader. Which gets to the more slots you turn over, the more money you'll make, even if the price point's small. I mean, many of the things that I list are odds and ends of armor, or there's some raw mats, or not raw mats, but refined mats, or improving materials. Not much. They're like maybe 2,000 here, 3,000 there, 1,000 here. But people will come by, the price point's low enough, they'll snap them up even if they're not in the market for it. They're just going to add it to their stock. Does all that make sense so far?
Absolutely.
Okay. If I were to set out a plan to make money selling gold in the game, and I have 30 slots available, I'm going to want to have a few of those things that are relatively hard to obtain, because they are big ticket items. But the bulk of what I'm going to list in the trader are going to be materials that other crafters are going to use, or that players will use to do their own improvement. I'll gather ancestor silk. I'll chop. Every time I go by a log, I'll collect it. Every time I go by a runestone, I'll collect it. It's on my way to doing other content in the game, but I don't bypass it. That stuff accumulates and sells. People are continually buying the material because they're consuming in PvP. They're consuming potions and food faster than they can go out and farm the materials make it themselves. So if I look at 30 slots, I usually keep about 5 open for anything special that comes along, like that best in slot necropotent staff, for example. Probably 10 of my slots are going to be nothing but crafting materials. Usually provisioning ingredients. I mean, they're mundane, they're not exciting, nobody really bothers to look at all the sacks, crates, and barrels in a dungeon. But if I'm going into a dungeon for or a delve, I should say, if I'm going to a delve for a sky shard and to clear it, I'll pick everything on my way in and out, and I'll come back with probably 10 slots worth of items, just out of one delve. The balance of what I'll have in there will be consumable foods and potions and poisons. Spell power. Remember I said at the beginning I wasn't going to tell you what to sell or what to sell it, but I'm trying to kind of get to the idea of the things so you can kind of think about what gets used a lot in the game, and if you can make a business plan where you can make money selling it. But obviously spell power and weapon power potions are really popular. The poisons that are popular in Cyrodiil are the ones that are the double resource drain. Everyone seems to complain about them, so everyone wants them. Food, beverage. You know that right now, or you may not be aware, but right now the popular beverage for stamina and Magicka damage dealers are Dubious Cameron Throne and Witchmother's Potent Brew. They're red hot.
Oh, he just
Nope.
DC'd.
DC'd. Yeah, no problem, man. I'm happy to do it for you.